Loosen the bolts around the top shell of the pup. Using a flathead screwdriver, pry the top shell from the bottom shell. Discard the top shell. Remove the organizer from the bottom shell and discard both shell halves. Using a can wrench, remove the bolts connecting the top organizer bar to the end plates. Remove the bolt connecting the blank end plate to the bottom organizer bar. Discard the blank end plate. Remove the bolt connecting the bottom organizer bar from the end plate with the cables installed. For easier cable management, lightly restrain the buffer tube bundles using zip ties. Remove the hold-down strap from the splice tray studs. Gently remove the splice trays and the buffer tube bundle from the organizer. The organizer can be discarded. Remove the nuts and lock washers connecting all the strength member brackets to the end plate. Loosen the nuts securing the caps on the strength member brackets. Detach the strength member brackets from the end plate and discard. Loosen the end plate bolts using a socket wrench with a 1/2-inch socket. Using channel lock pliers and a flathead screwdriver, carefully pry apart the end plate. Carefully remove the cables from the end plate. Using a utility knife with a hook blade, cut into the DR tape on the cables. Be sure not to pierce the cable jackets. Once slit, the DR tape can be peeled off the cables. Clear away any residue or debris left on the cables. Prepare the 6.5 by 17 dome closure with universal organizer. Identify the cable ports that will be used. Cable ports 3 and 4 should be used for feed cables, while ports 1 and 2 should be used for branch or drop cables. Unscrew the end cap bolts on the cable ports to be used. Remove the end caps from the end plate. Using side cutters, snip the grooves on both sides of the inner and outer tabs of each cable port to be used. Remove the tabs by pulling them outwards from the end plate using the side cutters or pliers. Repeat this process for all cable ports to be used in the end plate. Prepare cables for entry into the 6.5 by 17 dome closure. Remove the cable restraint hardware from the small parts bag provided with the dome closure. Align the sheath opening of the cable with the end of the slot on the strength member bracket. Trim the strength member flush with the end of the strength member bracket. Place the strength member cap on the strength member and insert it into the strength member bracket. Secure the cap to the strength member bracket using the small nut provided. Repeat this process for all cables to be installed into the end plate. Secure the cable to the strength member bracket using the hose clamps provided. Repeat this process for all cables to be installed into the end plate. Using the cable measuring tape, determine the diameter of each cable. Determine the grommets that correspond to your cable quantities and diameters. Using a utility knife, slit the grommet using the slit line on the grommet or tangent to the hole being used. Insert grommet plugs in any unused holes. Place the slit grommet onto the cables. Repeat this process for all grommets being used. Evenly spread silicone lubricant on the outer surface of the grommets. Be sure not to lubricate inside any slit lines on the grommets. Remove the hold-down strap from around the universal organizer. Route the buffer tube bundles into the universal organizer, ensuring that the bundle stays underneath the retention clips in the organizer. Place the splice trays onto the splice tray studs. Secure the splice trays using the hold-down strap. For each cable to be installed into the end plate, position the grommet into the corresponding end plate port. Do not align the grommet slit with the end plate seam. Position the slot of the strength member bracket leg over the ground stud and pull back the cable. Loosely secure the strength member bracket to the ground stud using a lock washer and nut. Reinstall the end plate cap onto the end plate port. Secure the end plate cap by tightening the bolts by hand evenly until fully seated. Tighten the end cap bolts for any unused ports. Repeat this process for all cables being installed into the end plate. Once all end plate caps have been secured, tighten the nuts on the ground studs to fully secure the strength member brackets to the end plate. Using a can wrench, retighten all the end cap bolts to ensure proper assembly. Evenly spread silicone lubricant on all surfaces of the gasket. Slide the gasket over the organizer and press it onto the groove of the end plate. Work the gasket into the groove of the end plate to ensure it's properly seated. Slide the dome over the organizer and insert the end plate into the dome. Install the dome collar and secure the halves together with the latch and collar pin. For flash testing, remove the cap from the air valve. Pressurize the closure to a maximum of 10 psi. Spray all sealing surfaces of the end plate with soapy water and look for bubbles. If no bubbles are seen, the closure has been properly assembled. Release the pressure out of the closure and reinstall the cap onto the air valve.